Good morning and welcome to 365 Days of Amazing Stories with Theo Mayer. Here we are on day 200 and I'm continuing the story of the two Viziers from 1001 Arabian Nights. So, you might remember that Badr al-Din disappeared, and as far as Sit al-Quran was concerned, he was gone. It was almost as if he had never existed. One night they spent together. One night they experienced that love, that deep love for each other. And Shams al-Din, he waited and waited. Days and months passed. And eventually, Sit al-Quran, as would be expected, gave birth to their son. Now, what was to be done? This young boy, Shams al-Din, his grandfather named him Ajib, but he had no father around. Well, Sit al-Quran, with the help of nurses and stewards, raised Ajib to the best of her ability, and it was quite a good job that she did in raising him. Now, the one thing that you might imagine when both mother and father were as beautiful as Sit al-Quran and Badr al-Din were, Ajib was beautiful as well. He had a face that was as round as the full moon or the rising sun, and features that all who saw him, just as Badr al-Din had been, just as Badr al-Din's father had been, Nur al-Din, all who gazed on him praised God for the beauty that was in this creation. Well, when Ajib became a young boy, 7 years old, Shams al-Din enrolled him in a school with a tutor. And every day for 4 years, Ajib went to this school and participated in studies. And he was a smart student and did well. He excelled really all the other boys in his studies. And at a certain point, he began to bully and abuse the other boys that were in the care of this tutor. And it went on for long enough, and each and every one of them was targeted to the point where they gathered together and they went to the tutor and they complained. They complained that Ajib was not leaving them alone and was beating up on them. But the tutor sat in silence for a moment, and then he said, "This is what you must do." And he told them, you need to gather around Ajib and invite him to play a game with you. And the premise for joining the game is that you must name your father and your mother. You must know their names. And in order to play the game, you must give the name of your mother and father. Ajib will not be able to name his father. Therefore, he will not play the game with you, and believe me, he will not ever want to come back, because a person without a father is considered a bastard. The next day, the boys gathered around. They gathered around Ajib, and they said, "Come, let's play a game together." And Ajib was ready. And the boys said, "In order to play this game and to sit with us, you must first name your mother and your father." and yourself as well. So the first one began. My name is Maji. My mother's name is Sitita. And my father's name is Gur al-Din. And then the next one started and gave his mother and father's name and his name. And the next and the next and the next until it was Ajib's turn. Ajib said, my name is Ajib. My mother's name is Sit al-Haran. And my father's name is Shams al-Din, the Vizier. And the boy said, that is not your father. That is your grandfather. That is your mother's father. You do not know your father's name. You cannot play this game with us. And they began to shame Ajib for not knowing who his father was. Well, you can imagine the effect this had on him. Though he did not show it there, he was crying inside. He cursed them, and he turned and made his way home. And as he did, the tears began to flow from his eyes in sadness. One, that he had been taunted. Two, that he did not know who his father was. As he turned to go on his way, the tutor saw him. He walked after him and called out, Ajib, stop. Where are you going? I'm going home. There were tears in his eyes. The tutor could see them. And he said, Ajib, all these other boys, they know who their mother and father are. The merchant's sons, the butcher's son. All of them know who their mother and father is. Shams al-Din is not your father. He is your mother's father. Your mother was married to a hunchback, and for the rumor, she slept with demons who scared the hunchback away. You do not know who your father is. This is a strange business. This did not help Ajib feel any better. It only made it worse. Not only had boys taunted him, but now the tutor had basically made fun of him as well. Ajib made his way home and came into the house crying, feeling lost inside, not knowing where did he stand with all this. It was like being in a boat out on the ocean without a rudder. Who was his family? Certainly, he knew his mother, loved him dearly, and his grandfather, but he did not know his father. He came in and Sit al-Haran saw him. Said, my son, what is the matter? And he told her about the game and the taunting of the boys and the words of the tutor. And Ajib asked her, who is my father? Sit al-Haran said, it is Shams al-Din. That is not my father. He's my grandfather. Who is my father? At these words, Sit al-Haran, she was filled with sorrow as well, sadness. She remembered that night with Badr al-Din. She remembered those feelings of love that she felt. And she remembered all these days that had passed now in sorrow and longing. She too began to sob. Scheherazade, of course, stopped the story there. The sun had risen, as it had each morning, as Scheherazade continued these stories day after day. Her husband, the Sultan, was delighted. He never even thought again about executing her, or for that matter, anyone. The stories had touched him, touched his heart, touched his soul, and made him compassionate for the plight of others, the sorrow that so many people hold. And he realized that though he was Sultan, he was subject to the same sorrowful feelings that anyone else can feel. What a wise tale teller Scheherazade was. Okay, we'll stop the story there. Continue tomorrow, day 201. Have a good rest of your day. Thanks for joining.